good.
You
We're
can
good.
hear me good?
I can hear you.
What about me? What about me?
You sound good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hold on, like this. You can hear me still. I'm unscrew the mic and move it a little more
I
out.
can hear you good.
Okay.
But if you want, you can move it out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get started. You want it on you said?
Yeah. So and then once I say with no further ado, Sahid Abdala. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Sahid Abdala. Then you could go wide angle or you go to Sahid. Well, go to see wide angle, and then when Sahid starts talking about himself, and then you go towards us.
You gonna ask?
So can
Like-
you
Yeah.
put that water bottle down though?
Yes.
So you guys look a little more. Yeah, if you need to drink it, it's fine. But
Cool.
Basil, your cell phone's there. I don't know if you care.
Yeah, I do.
All right, you can put that. All right.
No, I'll move it. I'll move it.
All right.
Like put it on do not
Ready,
disturb.
guys?
Ready?
If your phone's on do not disturb.
Yeah. It's always on Do Not Disturb.
All right. I'm gonna go. Ready? I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1. Pause. Give it like 2 seconds and start talking. Okay, Basil?
Okay.
All right. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yo, baby! Good evening to all you beautiful men and women around the world that are tuning in into this interview. You're watching Network-King with your host, Basil Artis. Guys, this is a special interview. Why? Because number one, this is my first live interview, and what I do is original. There's nothing written up. I'm just gonna go straight off the head, see how the conversation goes. Also, I have a special guest here today. But guys, make sure you like, subscribe. Guys, this guest, he's a 6-figure mister. Call him the Broker King. He's one of the coolest guys I met down here in Miami. He's putting me on game that y'all will see during this interview that no one else has in Miami. So guys, no further ado, Sahid Abdala.
My man. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you for being here, brother.
It's my pleasure. I just want to express, obviously, my gratitude towards you. From the short time that we've known each other, man, you're somebody that's very likable. We've had great conversations. It was an honor to have you, obviously, at the office yesterday, learn a little more about what we do, what we have going on, and I'm looking forward for this interview.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for the people that don't know you, can we get your name, age, and what you do for a living?
Absolutely. So my name is Sahid Abdala. I'm 27 years old, and I am an insurance broker. So I run my own insurance company, and that's what I do.
Okay, and also, can we get a little bio about you? Little story from your upbringing.
Yep, of course. So I was born in Colombia, South America. I moved to the U.S. when I was 8 years old. My first sport was soccer. And then when I came here, somehow I got into basketball. I'm not the tallest, but that's what I chose. I've always been very competitive, and I've always been very hyperactive. I've had ADHD, so that's why sports for me was a good way to kind of burn all that energy. And, grew up, man, I was a class clown. I wasn't the best at school. I'm going to be completely honest. I was a troublemaker. And, high school came around. I had to really get my grades in line in order to be able to obviously play basketball. I played basketball from 9th grade to senior year on varsity, surprisingly. And, when senior year came around and basketball season finished, I was like, man, I didn't really have a game plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I talked to my dad, and I was like, Dad, I want to, because my dad was in the Navy, like yourself. I was like, Dad, I want to go to the military. And he goes, listen, son, I went as enlisted. My recommendation to you is that if you do want to go in as an officer. Now, what that requires is for you to go to college. Like I said, I was never good at school. I barely freaking graduated. I actually got hooked up with the ACT answers. That's how I was able to pass and graduate high school. So I wasn't never thinking about going to college, right? Obviously, I came from a family where college was important. You had to go to school, get a degree. That's kind of how your chances of being successful go up if you go to college. So I'm like, all right, I'll go. When I enrolled in Broward College, and I was doing my associates there, and I was, going to school full time. I was working in the hospitality hotel industry full time, doing valet, driving all the nice cars. And that was me, man. I was in a relationship. So I was just work, school, relationship, work, school, relationship. Graduated, got an AA, and then I went to Florida Atlantic University. I've always been into business, so I'm like, you know what? Initially, I was going to do accounting, and then I started taking those accounting classes, and I was like, yeah, accounting's not for me.
it.
So I switched it to marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was looking marketing people. They don't make money, and like you can market on your own. You don't have to have like a degree. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I was like, finance, perfect. Like I love numbers. I've been the guy that has an Excel sheet, right, tracking all my assets, liabilities, all my money going in, money going out. So I was like, I'm gonna do a finance major, and I wanted to do real estate. So I'm like, I'm gonna do a real estate minor. So I did that, man. I graduated college. Interesting enough, I graduated during the pandemic. So I graduated at FAU December of 2020. So I didn't even have a graduation. Like $20,000 in debt, and all you got was half a second of your name on a screen, and got my diploma, like my degree in the mail. And I was like, all right, like what's next? So during that time, I was somebody that I worked and went to school, so I never really had time to absorb things that I wanted to absorb for it to benefit me. So when the pandemic happened, I wasn't working both jobs. I was just doing school online, so I had a lot of time. So I got into stocks, I got into crypto, I was learning a lot, and then I started kind of creating a group where I would teach other people about crypto and all that stuff. So I've always been kind of an educator. I just like doing that. Whatever I absorb, I like going and teaching others. I've just been always like that. So I had that going, and then I like to travel. So I travel a lot, and being from Colombia, I would travel back to Colombia and back and forth. So I couldn't really have like a stable corporate job because they wouldn't allow me to go to Colombia for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned very early on that I did not want to work a corporate job. The reason why is because when I worked in the hospitality industry, and bro, like Christmas, New Year, like all holidays, you had to work, right? I was like, man, I don't want that. I want to be with my family. So I remember, I'll never forget this. I was working at the hotel, man. I gave it my all, mind you. Like I said, I was working full time, going to school full time. I was sacrificing so much. And one day I go ask my boss, oh, let me have 3 weeks to go to Colombia. He goes, no, you can't. He goes, if you want, quit. When you come back, you could reapply. I was like, man, that's how it is. So I was like, that's when I knew, brother, that I did not want to work for someone else. So as I'm traveling back and forth, I'm just doing side hustles, man, side gigs, doing the stocks, the crypto. I started working with one of my best friends' dad's limousine company. So I'm driving, those big GMC SUVs around, driving really high net worth individuals. Which from that, man, I learned so much because I got to ask a lot of questions to these very high net worth, very successful people. So I absorbed a lot of knowledge. And I was very conversational. I would always say it was kind of like a podcast while I would drive. I would drive people for an hour, hour and a half. So I got to ask questions, build relationships through there. And, I always say that PHP, I didn't find PHP, PHP found me. So I remember I went to Colombia for 2 months, came back. I'm like, man, what am I going to do? One of my friends that I worked at Margaritaville with reaches out to me. He was like, hey man, like I just started at this company. We have a lot of things in common. You're into stocks, crypto investing. I want to show you what I do. And bro, I hopped on a Zoom, and the man himself, Mr. Haas Boosie, jumps on there, presents everything over Zoom. And I was a very, let me think about it type of person. I'm just like that. And I was like, man, what's the worst that could happen? I get a license. I help my parents and my family, my friends out with some insurance, and I make some money, and I decide not to do it. Or I freaking find a skill that I have that I didn't know I had. I'm around somebody that's getting the best of me, and I end up building an insurance business, and boom, this ended up being my reality. I started last year, November 15th, part-time. I did the business part-time until May. Fast forward October, I became an official broker in the company, which out of 40,000 plus agents in PHP, only 600 of them are brokers. There's people in the company that have been in PHP for 3-4 years and are not brokers, and I became a broker in 10 months. So for me, I was like, okay, and I love doing it, man. I love helping people. I love serving people. I like teaching other people how to make money. And then the mindset, which me and you speak a lot about, which is the mindset that I created being in that environment, self-development, self-recreating, and obviously having a role model like Patrick Bet-David, for those that know him or don't know him, he's a big leader for a lot of us, a big mentor for a lot of us, and he built PHP and he pretty much gave it out to us, so we're able to achieve the same level of success that he's able to do. And here I am, man. I get to meet great people like you, get to obviously connect, and man, the future always looks bright.
Definitely. And for the people that don't know, what is PHP?
So PHP stands for People Helping People, and PHP is an insurance broker. Okay, so they're pretty much the broker, and then you're able to actually build an insurance business within the PHP platform. So PHP, like if you were to start a business, right, what do you need? You need an accountant,
Correct.
right? You need a processor. You need a lot of different components to run a business. PHP takes care of all of that. So somebody could come in and choose how they want to do the business, whether they want to do it, oh, I just want to help and sell some insurance, or I want to build a business within the insurance company. So there's a place for everyone. But what really stands PHP out from a lot of insurance companies, because I actually interned in some insurance companies when I was in college, but it was very corporate structured, right? It was like you start one, they pay for your license, because if you want to leave, they keep their license. You're not free to take your license, right? So PHP, when you start, you pay for your license, because if the relationship doesn't work out, you're free to go somewhere else. So I noticed that with PHP, they have a system in place, a system that somebody could copy and paste and find success. A lot of companies, you start, get your license, and guess what? They tell you, give you a list of names, you got to go call, and a lot of the times you get nowhere. Or there's companies that sell leads, right? Like they'll give you leads of people that want insurance, and a lot of the companies, what they do is they recycle leads. So what they do is they'll sell Basil leads, they'll sell Steve leads, they'll sell Hector leads, and it's the same leads over and over again. So a lot of some of these insurance companies, what they do is they do, like, they're an insurance company, but they'll have a leads company on the side, and a lot of their revenue comes from selling leads, not from the insurance company. So I noticed that there's a lot of companies, a lot of opportunity elsewhere, but I wanted to be somewhere where it was a proven system, where you have a great leader, a great mentor. And we partnered up with a company called Integrity Marketing Group, which is a $20+ billion company. And at one of the conferences that they had, they said how PHP has by far the best compensation structure in the insurance company. And that's because everyone's incentivized to help other people win. In the corporate world, is very greedy, right? Somebody wants everything for themselves. In PHP, man, listen, I'm incentivized to help you win, and then you are incentivized to help someone else win. And that's very, very rare to find nowadays, where companies or businesses are all incentivized to make sure that whoever starts, wins. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, and you're talking about insurance. What type of insurance exactly?
So it's life insurance. So we do life insurance. There's different types of life insurance. And then we do annuities. So also we do debt settlements. So a lot of people right now, man, debt is freaking increasing like crazy. We're helping people in that aspect. We do a lot of 401k rollovers. So traditionally, people grew up working, putting money in their 401k. They don't really know how it works or how it's structured. 401ks were kind of designed to screw the person over, because it kind of defers taxes for later on. But guess what? Taxes tend to increase over time, so you end up paying more taxes down the line. And life insurance, you're able to use it in so many different ways. It's kind of like an onion, and you peel a lot of layers in order to really understand what life insurance can do for you. It's not just, if you ask anybody, hey, what's life insurance? They're like, if I pass away and my family receives money. There's so much more to it. You're able to, build cash value for your future. You're able to have living benefits in case you get sick or you pass away. You're able to access that money to take care of your medical bills. So there's so much more to it. And a lot of people are very underserved and uneducated when it comes to this. 57% of Americans don't have individual
57.
life insurance. 57. So imagine the supply and demand is there, right? Like if I told you, hey, Basil, 57% of Americans don't have a car, what are you going to go sell?
I'm about to go sell cars.
You're going to go sell cars, right? So one thing that I took from college was supply and demand. And also, I noticed that when you solve a problem, you make a lot of money from that. For example, what problem did Elon Musk solve?
Electric cars?
Electric cars. We didn't really like getting into no Toyota Prius before Tesla came out, right?
It was lame.
It was lame, right? So he solved for making electric cars cool. What did Amazon solve?
selling stuff online.
So Amazon saw for distribution,
Yeah.
right? Now he's able to distribute products and services to people in a convenient way. What do we saw? We saw for those people that don't have life insurance, they're not educated on life insurance, and then we also educate people on how to set yourself up for retirement rather than wait till you get to retirement to figure it out. And what I've come to realize and notice is that so many people, man, they're so financially, like when it comes to financial literacy, it lacks tremendously because we're not grown up when we don't get taught these things in school. You don't get taught about credit cards, about your credit, how to build credit, about life insurance, about retirement. You don't really get spoken about that. So that's for me why it's so important to go out there and really educate people. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't like sales, but sales is just educating someone else on something that you know, and through that value that you provide, you make money, and that's pretty much what we do.
And for someone like me as a beginner, how would I get into this game?
Great question. So a lot of the times, the way for you to get into the business, you have to be recruited or prospected, right? Because one thing that the insurance industry does is they do a horrible job at attracting people into the industry, right? So for example, real estate. Everybody gets into real estate. Why? Because it's very marketable,
Correct.
right? You got selling Sunset on Netflix. You got all these shows.
HGTV.
There you go, YouTube. All these realtors showing houses, so it attracts a lot of people in doing that, right? But you don't really see anybody like marketing or advertising life insurance and insurance the way that it is with real estate. So,
is there a reason for that?
Is there a reason for that? Yeah, because the industry has been very safeguarded. So a little fun fact. So before PHP, the demographics of the industry were very, very, it was a 57-year-old white male that dominated the industry. There were no females doing it. There were no, Hispanics, no African Americans doing it. But then PHP essentially allowed for anybody to get into the insurance industry. Fast forward today, 54% of PHP's women were super diverse, and that's because it's kind of a kept secret, right? Like it's like the insurance industry is a secret that wants to be kept between the wealthy because it's so profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go on Google and you Google industry that promotes the most millionaires, it's financial services. 68% of that is in insurance. So if you want a really high chance at becoming a millionaire, you want to choose the industry that promotes the most millionaires, which is financial services. But guess what? We don't want too many millionaires. We don't want too much financial freedom. So it's kept very secretive. But now, man, PHP also allowed us to market it on social media. Prior, companies wouldn't allow you to do it on social media. Like you would never see, and I'm okay with talking about other companies, but you've never seen a Primerica agent promoting insurance on Instagram. It's because Primerica doesn't allow you to promote on social media. Northwestern Mutual, they don't allow their agents to make videos and promote it on social media. So a lot of the regulations when it comes to the exposure of the industry is safeguarded by the same companies that do it. They're like, you can't advertise, you can't leverage the company to go out there and tell people what you do. So that's the reason why people don't know about it, because these companies essentially, kind of keep you in a box so you don't scale and build something massively, which a lot of people have been able to do in PHP.
And why do you yourself, as the business owner of an insurance company, get people to, get prospects, bring people in, and are on social media marketing it? Why are you doing that if a lot of people don't want to do that?
Great question. So there's different aspects to why I chose to do it. Okay, so the first aspect of it is I've seen how, because I came from a grandfather that was in politics, and I wanted to get into politics, but I realized that, okay, if I get in a position of power, okay, to try to make a difference, people are still going to be poor and people are still going to have the same mindset. So I can't really make that much of an impact being a politician. Now, the way that I could make an impact is if I'm in an environment where I'm self-developing, I'm becoming a better thinker, I am getting better financially, and I'm able to go and share with anybody and everybody, why wouldn't I do that? That's me being very selfless. And the industry, this business, it creates people to go out there, be grateful for where they're at, and share with other people. The problem is that we live in a very greedy society, right? You find success, you want to keep it between yourself, you don't want to tell nobody. But that's why I said that PHP's compensation plan is so good, because why? Everyone's incentivized to go and help somebody else get successful, become successful, make money. And so that's why this model for me is why I'm so passionate about it, because one, I'm able to fulfill my passion of helping others, and not only financially but also mentally, man. I think a lot of the problems that we have in today's society is because of the way that we think and the way that we grew up thinking. So this platform allows for us to go out there and teach someone, hey, listen, we grew up being taught these things. This is not the way of thinking them. We should think like this. Let's read these books together. We have books of the month. How many companies you know of that have a book of the month, where every month you read a book as a company, you self-develop, you share your takeaways, you're growing, you're evolving? Not a lot of places. So when I came into PHP, just trying something out, doing it part-time, and now fast forward a year, I am completely different. I think different. I operate different. It's my duty to go out there and share it with people, because I want to make an impact in someone's life.
Yo, that's good morals. I think, were you raised like that? You had parents that taught you good morals and stuff like that.
So I grew up in a Colombian household. It's interesting because
religious.
I would say yes, but not as much.
Okay.
I mean, my grandma, very Catholic, prays. But they were never really, church goers like that. My grandfather was someone, so my great grandfather was Muslim, right? So my grandfather kind of grew up around, as long as I do good, as long as I help somebody that needs help, as long as I have, ethics and respect and morals, that's good. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? So I grew up around a lot of respect, and I'll give you an example. I remember growing up, I would call my grandma, I'd be like, "Grandma," she'll be like, "Yes, sir," and I'm like 4 or 5 years old, right? Or I would tell them, "Oh, this, thank you," or "please," whatever. So these are all things that I grew up around, and when I came to this country, it was so interesting, man. I remember going to a friend's house, and I'm a helper at heart. I like helping. So I remember mom cooks food, right? We dirty the dishes, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna take care of the dishes. Like, let me wash the dishes." She was like, "No, no, no." And then I started realizing trends in terms of my behaviors that I grew up with were very odd when I would go over a friend's house. I was like, but why do they see this as an alien behavior when I grew up around that? So that's when I realized that everything starts within the home. The simple things with language, man, saying please, saying thank you, yes sir, no sir. That's something that I grew up that was very normalized. And when I came here, it was kind of non-existent. So that's where I saw the problem.
Yo, a lot of people in America do not have respect for others. They don't even have respect for their parents or their elders. I don't want to target a certain demographic, but I'm going to target a certain demographic, and it's mostly the white people. Even black people, you have a certain type of respect towards your parents, your grandparents, because it's a quick slap. Like you not to do those certain things. But I seen in the white family, they get away with the same slick shit. And my family was none of that slick shit. When you go out, you're representing your family, so you need to have respect in the household, because that's where it starts. You need to build a foundation. So for you to say that is, that's amazing. Steve, do we have any chats?
Yeah, we got one from.
No, I can't even see it from this angle. No.
It says, "What's up, Basil? Long time no see." It's from Tap.
Yo, what's good, Tat? How you doing, brother?
Nobody else right now. Everyone's just saying what's up to you. And Captain said, "Yo, baby."
I appreciate that. For all the supporters, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time we go live. Make sure you go follow Sahid on Instagram. What's your Instagram, brother?
It's Sahid Abdala 22, SAHID ABDALA 22.
And is this a open thing? Can you, if someone hits you on Instagram and they're in Florida, can they come to your office and start working with you?
Absolutely. So if they're obviously local, we can do some. And if they're not local, there's we have offices, 200 offices nationwide. We're in 48 different states, including Puerto Rico. So a lot of the times when people are in another state and they're like, "Hey, man, can I still be a part of it?" I could always look at the closest office to them and send them there. And then also a lot of this stuff is tech enabled, so we could do things from Zoom. They could get their license. I could provide the training all online, so it's something that you could do, no matter where you're at.
Okay. Going back to your family, when I asked you were they religious, you said no. But I know you personally. We've had long talks about religion and stuff like that, and I know you're a very religious person yourself. Very and I thought that's where you got your morals from, the structure. But hearing that, now I'm interested in that. How did you get into religion? And if you don't mind discussing what you are.
Of course. So I was born into Colombians. They're very Catholic. Okay, so my family, they were. I wouldn't say, when I say they weren't religious, I don't mean in the sense that they're going to church every week and their lives is no, like they pray, they believe in something higher than themselves. Obviously, they act in a good manner, right? They have good morals and values. So I grew up around that. Now, Catholic, right? When I moved here, I was more of like a Christian. I was going to Christian churches. I was, kind of in the Christian side. And then, over time, I back to Catholic. So like religion has always kind of played a role in my life, in the way that I operate and the way that I behave and the way that I am. But I never had a Muslim mentor or somebody that I can talk to about the, Islamic religion and how Muslims are. What I never really had somebody like that. So when, I came into PHP and I met my mentor and coach, Haas, over time, as we build a relationship, I've always been a curious person, man. I've always liked to question things, ask questions, wonder. So as me and his relationship became better, I started kind of asking questions. Hey, tell me more. I want to know more. I'm open to it because, like I said, my roots trace back to my great grandfather was Muslim. Okay, Palestinian guy, came from Palestine to Colombia back in like the 30s. So my roots trace back. People are like, dude, like you're born in Colombia, you freaking look German, and your name's Arabic. Like, what is going on? What are you? So I was always just curious, learning more. I want to know more. So I'm asking him questions. I'm asking questions. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to start researching, learning more. And then also everything that's going on in today's world did not help my situation in terms of shying away from Christians and Catholics to being Muslim. I'll tell you why. Is that today, the level of respect that people have for their higher being, right, their God, whatever you want, whether it's Jesus, right, whether it's whoever, the level of respect is not the level of respect that I would want for my God in a Christian or a Catholic religion. And I tell you, you go to Christian churches, my brother, it looks like it's a party. You got women looking like they're going to the club, right? Catholics, they're very materialistic, right? They're all about the material stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then also, when you really boil and go down to it, okay, we believe in God, right? We believe there's a higher thing. Now, God left a manual for us to live our life, right? And the manual is, you got the Bible, you got the Quran, you got the Torah, you got all these different manuals. Okay, now, when it comes to certain manuals, there's a lot of contradictions, right? You got the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. There's kind of a lot of contradictions and a lot of things that are like, you said one thing here and then you said another thing here. And then also the way that people live their life is not really correlated to the religion that they follow, meaning that a lot of people are not practicing the religion they claim. So a lot of people, bro, they're Christians and Catholics because their parents and grandparents are Christian and Catholics, but they don't operate in a Christian or Catholic way, right? So for me, I grew up and I had a best friend. His name is Awais, and he Muslim. This guy, bro, never drunk a sip of alcohol, operated so much different, never did drugs, never did nothing. And I saw that, but I never really paid attention to it until now. And I'm like, man, I respect you so much because no matter the environment that you were put in, you stay so true to your religion and to what you follow and what you believe, and you didn't let anything crumble you down. But then I had some of my Christian and Catholic friends that a situation came up and they freaking completely, put their religion to the side and operated in a way they shouldn't be operating in. So I realized, man, and then also when I became a Muslim, one thing, man, that really, really got me was how I felt inside, right? When I was a Christian and Catholic, there was no internal feeling that I felt that I'm like, okay, this is where I belong. And the reason why is because I didn't feel the sense of accountability that I felt being, Christian or Catholic, opposed to how I feel now. I genuinely, bro, feel so accountable for whatever it is that I do now. I didn't feel like that before. There were times where I'm like, oh, you know what? Because, like, Christians are, oh, like Jesus Christ, he was put on a cross
for your sins.
For your sins or whatever. So
Yes.
there's no level of accountability. And then, bro, Islam is such a, simple religion, man. Very good to. And then interesting is there's people that are able to memorize it from cover to cover.
Yes.
Recite it. Kids that are 7, 8 years old and be able to recite the Quran front to back. And we spoken about this. If you think about it, the way to essentially erase, because knowledge is power, right? So if you essentially burn all the Bibles, like, who can recite the Bible front to back and be able to pass it down? Not a lot of people, but there's Muslims that are able to. They're able to essentially memorize the whole thing. So if that, God forbid, happens, they're able to pass it down. And I'm not sitting here saying, brother, that I'm like, full-blown Muslim. I'm in my journey. I'm in my process. It takes time to learn. It takes time to understand. There's habits you got to remove. Like, I don't drink alcohol at all whatsoever, and I'm proud. I feel good. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure. Like, I go out. They're like, hey, you want to drink? I'm like, no, I don't drink. Like, it kind of feels good because I'm going against what everybody does. I don't eat pork at all. So there's a lot of things that when you become a Muslim, you have to kind of remove from your life. And mind you, bro, I'm Colombian. Like, I grew up around eating pork left and right. Like, a lot of our good food is all pork. So those are the things that for a lot of people is hard to remove. People are unable to be disciplined enough to remove certain habits that they have. And for me, man, I love challenging myself and removing certain bad habits that I have. And it's been easy for me. And like I said, I'm learning. I have a great mentor that he's also read the Bible. He's also read. So he's not someone that comes from, oh, this is what you should. No, he's somebody that comes from moral authority where I've read all of them. I understand all of them. This is what I've gotten to. And, right now, man, is the fastest growing religion. It's, and then I also realized too, man, the way that they made, Arabs look for me growing up. Like, when you watch, like, Hollywood has done a very, very, very good job and giving
them like having a bad view of them,
bad image.
Yo,
like when you think of a Muslim or Arab, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh, he's a terrorist, right? So it's kind of weird how they've made that person, right? And then I think I have to send you this. So Osama bin Laden, he wrote a letter to America, and I recently obtained that letter. My wife gave it to me, and I was reading it. Man, there's so much truth to what he said in that. But this is the problem. People are so emotionally tied to things that have happened that their ego gets in the way of being open to reading and to looking into other perspectives. And I think that's what really separates my level of intellect, is that my ego does not play any role in anything. So I'm able to be curious about, this topic, that topic. I'm able to be open. I'm always open, bro. Like, so if there's anybody that disagrees with me, my favorite thing is having conversations with people that don't agree with me, because that's the way that I'm able to get better. That's the way that I'm able to become better, learn more. So I like those type of conversations where people disagree, because it tests my level of knowledge. It makes me go back to the drawing board and be like, man, what this person said, I got to look into it. I don't know this. I don't know that. And so yeah, I know I kind of went off topic. You see how my brain kind of works.
Like, by any chance, this is a question the whole time we were talking. Are they in a mosque in Miami?
Yes, sir. So there's actually a mosque
in Miami.
In Miami, there's a mosque.
Okay.
There's one, by the office. So I live 5 minutes from the office, and from my house in the office, there's a mosque I go to every Friday at 1. At 1, it's close by. See, this is a thing too that I love as well. I've gone to Catholic Christian church. When I go to the mosque, brother, it's strictly prayer. You go in there and you're there to pray. You're not there to mingle. You're not there to, party. You're there to pray. That's it. Strictly prayer. And then also, man, the values that are instilled to a man in the Islam religion is what we need more of, right? Strong, masculine leaders, people that, take the lead, man. So, and then also for women, if you want your wife one day to follow any religion, you want her to be
Yes.
Muslim because they're kind of catered to the man. The man comes first. The man's the leader. So these are all man morals and values that we need more of. And a lot of the destruction that we see in today was everything started within the household.
Touching on to what you just said, a lot of people would just look at, if the Islamic religion is very controlling, they make it men seem controlling, but it's crazy that it makes women modest. It makes women on a kind of in a sense, on a pedestal, and you have to respect them in this certain way. I was always wondering, why do Muslim women wear a hijab? And I saw a video, and this guy had a gum wrapper. And he said, if I take this gum wrapper off, do you want the gum anymore? Yeah, you might take it. If I put it on the ground, do you want it still? I don't really know. Maybe the 5-second rule. If I step on it, do you want the gum now? It just goes into the whole thing. If a girl's in a bikini, then if someone sleeps with the girl, it just goes down that whole loop. I'm like, oh shit. That's a good way of explaining to people that might not know read the Quran and really understand it completely.
That's so powerful that you just said. And going back, why do they do that is because a man's weakness is the female flesh. So when they're covered up, right, we're not prone to sinning or prone to kind of going into that. And yeah, man, we respect women to the ultimate. Like we actually protect women more than any other religion.
That's a fact,
right?
Yeah.
Because other religions are okay with the woman going in a skirt and heels to church to praise God. Like that's where I find the disconnect, man. Like because I was instilled with certain morals and values. And then I grabbed those morals and values. I've lived by those morals and values. And then when I kind of entered in the realms of different religions, I noticed that my morals and values didn't align with what they were doing or what they were allowing, what they were okay with. A lot of Christian women do OnlyFans. Like, how does that make sense? A lot of Catholic women do OnlyFans. How does that make sense? So that's why there's so much disconnect with those religions, especially today. And one of the biggest things is that a lot of Christians and Catholics are okay with compromising their morals and values for ideas and ideology. Us Muslims, brother, like no matter what, there's nothing ever that could break us but the man upstairs. That's just it. So we're unbreakable. Other people in those religions, they're very weak, and so they're very easily manipulated.
Definitely. And they'll disrespect their own gods. You see TV shows with the Jesus on it, and they're like making a mockery of him. Literally a mockery. If you did that with any Muslim prophet, it's raps. You might want to hide a little because they're going to come after you respectfully, because it's a religion to be feared, because it's a religion people actually take seriously. A lot of people, like you were saying, they could read the Quran front to back because Allah made it very easy to do that. Bro, people don't even touch the Bible and they call themselves Christians, Catholics, but that's a religion you really want me to take serious? And
Such a good point.
And I don't understand that.
There's a lot of Christians that are leaving their religion because of what they've seen is going on in it. Bro, did you see the video of the Pope? Like Pope Francis
saw that
recently got like together and invited a whole bunch of transgenders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
bro,
it's wild. And then we were talking about this. The English church, they're thinking about taking out God having a gender, so they want him to be gender neutral. I was like, yo, you can't be fucking serious. Y'all are losing your mind. This is like the modern age of changing the Bible. And the Bible's been changed so many times, and people know this for a fact, but this is the modern era of changing the Bible, and people are still going to, be so religious towards, the New Testament. And it blows my fucking mind.
I agree. Going back to, for example, the language, like let's talk about the language. What language did Jesus Christ speak?
Aramaic.
There you go. Now, in that language, what is God? What is God?
Was it Ilah?
Is Ilah, okay. Right? So even Jesus Christ in his own language called God Ilah. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, there's and then not only that, but in the Quran, Jesus Christ is mentioned more than Prophet Muhammad. So these are the things, man, that for me, as I went in my journey, I found a lot of things, and I've also realized that with a lot of other religions, they're very black, white, and then gray. For us, bro, it's either you did right or you did wrong. There's no in between. Like if you commit a crime and you go see the judge, it's either you're guilty or you're not guilty. But it's not like, oh, you were, no, man. So for us, I also live like that. Like there's right and there's wrong. There's no really in between. But people want to find that gray area.
Yo, maybe in court they should use the Quran instead of the Bible for people to swear on. Because I feel like a lot of people say they don't believe in Islam because the Quran is perfect. Islam is perfect. Yeah. It's a perfect religion. Christianity and it has the Bible. It has so many contradictions in it, and people were like, "Oh well, I don't want a religion that's going to make me have to be perfect. I want to mess up here and there." And like going back to what you said, Jesus died on a cross for their sins.
Yeah.
I find that bullshit.
And I also,
it's a cop out.
I also wouldn't like to see my God in that form.
Yeah.
Weak, like put on a cross, like people when they wear their crosses, like their God is not a good picture. Like I don't want to see my God like that. You know what I mean? And also like Jesus and God, they can't be the same person. A lot of people are like, oh, they're the same person. No, they're not the same person. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing with religion, man. But listen, one thing that I respect so much about Muslims that I did not see in Christians and Catholics is that Christians and Catholics want to impose religion on other people. Us Muslims, we don't do that. It's not our job. It's God's job. So if you're ever curious, we're here to guide you and help you and point you in the right direction. But we would never impose our religion on someone else. It's against our beliefs. But other ones, they want to impose it on you and they want to, oh, you this, that, or if you're not, you're a sinner. So that's the topic, man, with religion. And I know it's a sensitive one. I know it's something that we grew up, there's 3 things that are unspoken in the household: your finances, okay, politics, and religion, which
Correct.
For me were the topics that were spoken the most about in the household. And I think this is why I've grown to think this way. This is why I've grown to be okay with debating, with conversating, with testing beliefs, because I grew up in that household. I grew up in a household where you're able to speak your mind, you're able to share your thoughts, and even if we disagree, it's okay as long as we respect each other. And we need more of that, man. We need more of that because those 3 things are fundamental in society. If you don't talk about finances, if you don't learn how to make money or how to protect your money, how to invest your money, you're going to end up being, in a bad situation. If you don't talk about politics, what's going on, how it's affecting us, you can end up in California, somebody that doesn't want to be vaccinated and is forced to because the politics in that state force you to do that. There's politics, right? And then religion. Why not speak about religion? Why not test our beliefs? Why not be curious? Why not? Look, the perfect example is Tristan and Andrew Tate. 2 completely different, but they're 2 brothers. They respect the religion. They speak about it. They share each other's takes on it. And that's what we need more of. We need high level of respect and being okay with having conversations that are hard. That we like, I say we because you're going to, do what I do. But we get paid by having hard conversations, crucial conversations that are usually not done, right? So we get paid big money. Why? Because we have the ability to speak hard conversations with people that they normally don't do. Okay, about your finances. How are you financially? How are you setting yourself up for the future? This is why you need this is why you need that. So that's the people that get paid the big bucks, man, are the people that are able to have difficult conversations.
And has your religion hurt you in business at all?
I believe that it helps me.
Okay.
Because it helps me operate better, because it creates a sense of responsibility for me to go out there and really serve and help someone else. So it actually helps me in a way.
How about networking?
Networking? In what sense?
I'll give you an example. For myself, when the Palestine and the Israel war initially started, I couldn't speak on it. And on Instagram, I kept seeing shit, and it was pissing me off. It was irritating me, and I couldn't post anything about it. I couldn't say anything because one of my biggest clients was a Jew at the time, right? And I was like, fuck. I want to say something, and I had made a post. I was like, I can't say anything. I just wish people stop dying. That's I just said that. So has that hurt you in any way with your insurance company?
What a great point that you just made. You know why it doesn't? You know why it doesn't? Because I'm a good person. You know what I'm saying? I have my dad, like my stepdad, but he's my dad because he raised me. Jewish roots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know the conversations me and my wife knows the conversations at home are my sister's in a position like her mom Palestinian roots, dad Jewish roots, whatever. But listen, it's about, are you a good person? Is the client that's a Jew a good person or a bad person? He's a good person, I'm assuming, right? You wouldn't conduct business with a bad person.
Yeah, definitely.
If he's a good person, no matter the situation, no level of respect should be diminished just because he's Jewish. But this is where people are conflicting the things. It's not Jewish people, bro. It's the Israelis and
yes,
it's Israel.
Exactly.
That's because there's a lot of Jewish, like Orthodox Jews, that are advocating for and supporting Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things, and it's about, okay, you have to read, you got to understand, you got to see both sides. I see both sides. I listen to Ben Shapiro, and then I listen to the other side. I'm aware of the history. I'm aware of the other side. I listen to the opposition because a lot of people, this is where they go wrong. There's a topic, they believe one thing, but they never go listen or go ask or go have conversations with the opposition. Bro, you don't get better like that. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to speak with the opposition, see why do they think like that? Why do they believe like that? And right now, and a lot of people are seeing it, is that it's not Jews. It's not the Jews, because there's Jews that are supporting Palestinians. So it's not the Jews. And yeah, man, it's a sensitive topic, but like I said, it all boils down to, am I a good person? Yes. Is that person, regardless of their religion, are they a good person? Then, we can conduct each other with respect. Or we say, hey, is it okay if we have the conversation? Yes, great. Hey, is it okay if we have the conversation? No problem. Let's stick to strictly business. So it's just, when you conduct yourself in that manner, no matter what goes on, no matter if it's a race thing, it's a religious thing, whether, we disagree on the food we like to eat, if you're a good person at heart and I'm a good person at heart, we're going to operate with a lot of respect. And if we want to have the conversation, we'll have it. And if we don't, it's okay. Okay.
I respect that. Are you willing to answer tough questions real quick?
I love tough questions.
Okay. Well, this came up. I'm gonna try to think of it while I'm going. Russia or Ukraine? And it's not like yes or no questions or Russia or Ukraine. You can answer however you want.
Russia or Ukraine? Russia.
Why?
Russia, because what a great question. So I see it from the aspect. Okay, let's talk about Ukraine, right? So Ukraine, it's known for being a very, very, very corrupt country for a long time. This guy Zelensky, you know what he used to do prior to being like the president or whatever of Ukraine?
What did he do?
He was an actor comedian. Okay, I'm seeing it from a side where the United States is fully responsible for a lot of the things that are going on in the world, and there's a lot of corruption and money laundering to Ukraine, right? Russia, they're just trying to protect their, they're trying to kind of protect themselves in a way from what's trying to be inflicted into them. A lot of people forget, man, like, Ukraine was part of Russia at one point. You know what I mean? So it's like, I say Russia because of what is going on, how they're using Ukraine. You got to see life as chess. Okay? You got to see how they're using Ukraine and they're sacrificing Ukraine to kind of push this agenda, and also move into this whole war situation that is only helping the U.S. in terms of, like, have you ever heard of the military-industrial complex?
Yes. You
know how much money there's behind wars? So mad money.
And they're winning on both sides, too.
There you go. So there's a lot of things there. And also a lot of people don't listen to Putin when he speaks. They don't sit there, and when he has these, bro, this guy, like, he's for the same morals and values that I would be, right? He's not okay with the whole LGBTQ stuff that's
He made
going
it
on.
illegal in Russia.
He made it illegal. So he's keeping a certain level of morals and values within his country that he doesn't want the Western world to bleed into it.
Correct.
So
even
for
with
me,
the food, GMO, he said wraps. He said no more.
there you go. So there's a reason, man. Listen, if you speak to Russians, you like, yeah, it's a communistic country, and I'm a capitalist, so I'm very against communism and socialism. But then I also respect the type of morals and values and control that the man has to have in order to keep that population, because bro, they're huge, like they're enormous. So imagine the level of control that he needs to have to people to be in line and move in a good way. So I say Russia
For that many years.
for that many years.
Without their economy just failing completely.
There you go.
One man. I mean, that's a lot. That's
It is.
a lot
It is. But I know for a lot of people it's conflicting. It's serious. But I say Russia because of how they're using Ukraine, how they're sacrificing it it's all the U.S. Bro, everything goes back to the U.S.
And it's crazy because it's not the Ukrainian people. It's the government. It's the corruption like you're talking about. I literally talked to Ukrainians. They're like, yo, I'm on the Russian side, to be honest. I mean, you look what they're doing.
So that's the thing. It's not the people.
Yeah.
People. It's not Muslims. It's the person. For example, the person that chooses to do harm is not the religion. It's the person.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not the people. It's the government, the people in control. It's the state. It's a lot, man. We could go deep into it because it correlates to a lot of the destruction that unfortunately this country's
You gonna drop names?
Man, listen, we could get into Hawaii, what's happening in Hawaii. We can talk about that. We could talk about how the Israel Palestine thing kind of correlates to the U.S. also being involved, and it's crazy, bro.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
I'm gonna say the one thing on the Russian and Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the side of the Russians too. I mean, you look at that. That's a chess move, like you were saying. Ukraine, they weren't supposed to join NATO. That was not supposed to happen. It was a treaty that was in place, and Putin said, "Yo, if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, then we're gonna go to war." And then they fucked around, and it became part of NATO after they signed a treaty for it not to be part of the NATO. So what do you expect them to do? That's a war move, because guess what the U.S. is gonna do? Put a base in Ukraine if they don't do that, and it's not smart. If he's trying to protect his motherland, why the fuck would he just allow that to happen? And they did that on purpose because they wanted to see what happens. But at the same time, they win, and they wanted that to happen because they profit money-wise on both sides. If the war happens, if it doesn't happen, the money laundering, there's so many people involved with that. But who do you think is behind everything? The families.
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you want to drop names, if you don't.
Ooh, okay. So who?
Let's start with school system. School system.
School system. Obviously, it's in their best interest to create employees and not entrepreneurs and free thinkers. So the schools, if you notice it, like everything's evolved, but the school system.
Correct.
Kids are still learning the same stuff we were learning when we were in school. You know what I mean? People that are older, they're being taught the same stuff they were being taught when they were in school. So the school system was designed to, and this goes all the way back to, the Rockefellers and all these people. They created the educational system in order to not have business owners and entrepreneurs and create more employees.
Correct.
The educational system was structured around that. But if you really want names, man, and we spoke about this when we were at the cigar lounge, if you want names and in terms of what's really going on in the world, just look to Klaus Schwab and look to the World Economic Forum. How the World Economic Forum was essentially it's a governing entity that we never voted for.
Correct.
And all these countries come together and they're moving in a way, like if you read Klaus Schwab, The Great Reset. Okay, he speaks about the globalization of the world. He speaks about how all the chaos that's going on, it's only going to help them become globalized, come together, and really have the world in a full globalized and the elites are the ones that control. We're moving in a direction where the whole food system's being disrupted. You got Bill Gates buying all the farmland,
Correct.
and then he's also into these, creating these weird foods. So if you really want to go to it, man, also look at George Soros, what this guy's doing, right? Like the money that he's invested into so many attorneys in New York to allow criminals to move in this way. So for me, if people look into what the World Economic Forum is, Klaus Schwab, his beginnings, what he's done, what he's doing, and you start looking at all these pawns that are being put about how Canada used to be such a free country,
Yeah.
and how they use. I'm gonna share with you, bro, a documentary. It's called The Great Awakening, and it speaks about so much stuff and how they used COVID to essentially, fast forward the agenda that they're trying to implement.
Mhm.
Because COVID, I call it a plandemic, not a pandemic. It was a plandemic. That shit was planned.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? It destroyed mom and pop's businesses. Okay, it tested the ability for the state to control population.
Mhm.
It showed how weak we are as people to believe something and not question shit. Okay, so it showed a lot of weakness there. And you see, the beauty about the U.S. is that we all, there's 50 states that work independently. So thankfully, I was living in a state that kind of allowed the freedom for me to, not get vaccinated, because I'm anti-vaccines, bro. And I'll give you the reason why I'm anti-vaccine. So, like I told you before, I grew up with ADHD. I was hyperactive. So in Colombia, I was medicated. They gave me medicine. They were like, hey, take medication so you can stay seated in the front of the class and not go all over the place, jump off the walls the way I used to. When I came to this country, I went to the doctor, right? Boom, they're giving me the medication. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, we just got this new medication we want you to try out. And they're telling my parents, my parents don't know, man, hardworking people. They're not, you know what I mean? So they're like, yeah, sure, they're trusting in the system. Brother, I take that pill in the morning. In the afternoon, we're going home. Half of my body starts going numb. I tell my mom, what the hell is going on? I don't feel the right side of my body. Rush to the hospital. I was about to have a heart attack due to that medication. From that day, my mom said, I'm never feeding you or giving you medication, pills, any of that sort from here on. I'm going to put you in sports. You're going to go burn all that energy. That's what I did. I was better off when I got off the medication than when I was on the medication. So I was always a very skeptic when it came to pharmaceuticals. My grandfather was like that too. Brother, my grandfather is 73 years old. This man is a perfect specimen of a guy, works out, healthy, eats good. You see him, bro, full of energy, memory, insane, things the same way. As long as you eat healthy and you work out, which are the two most fundamental things, right, that we should do. But guess what? This country, I always say follow the money. When you follow the money, you realize how much money is in pharmaceuticals, how much money is in making you sick. This country profits on making people sick. That's why they feed you the bullshit food. That's why they give you medication, and they create a problem. You know that there's more money in fixing what COVID did rather than the fix itself. So they gave us vaccines, okay, to fix COVID. And then guess what? Well, not me, I didn't take it, but people that took it, right? They got the vaccine, and now people are getting sick. They're getting blood clots. They're having all these problems. And so now the medication they got to get in order to solve those problems is more profitable than the vaccine itself. So all these things, man, I was always just a skeptic growing up, bro. I was always into conspiracy theories. I used to watch the most weird shit growing up on YouTube. I used to listen to Tupac. I used to listen to what he would say. I was into the whole Illuminati and the entertainment and the devil worshiping and all that stuff at a very early age. So I was always very conscious, very awake. Also had the pleasure of meeting a guy. His name's Rodson. This guy, I worked with him at Margaritaville. Bro, this guy, he would break down the music videos. He would break down the symbology of the music videos. He would break down the numbers, what they correlate to. He would show me different things. He was the one that showed me what the symbol of the Starbucks represents. And so I was very like that. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't into that weird stuff. So for me, when the pandemic happened, I was like, I already knew this was going to happen because, follow the money. What are they doing? Like, I was a very skeptic, and I was listening to Joe Rogan when he had on, these doctors that were speaking against it. Then these doctors were getting censored on social media. I was like, what's going on? And then now, fast forward to today, we see that government, pharmaceuticals, and the social media platforms all came together to promote this one message, okay, indoctrinate people. They said, hey, we're going to give you one vaccine. You're going to be good. They came out with a second vaccine. In Colombia, they're trying to have people on vaccines every 6 months. Okay, there's countries that got it that never took it. There's countries that did not play by the rules we were playing by, and they were better off. I was having conversations with paramedics that I knew that were like, hey, brother, like, we're here, like, in New Jersey. They're putting all these numbers on the news, but the numbers that we're reporting are not the numbers that they're putting on the TV. It's way less than what they're putting. They started creating fear because they know that through fear, people are easily manipulated. So they're telling you, you're gonna die if you get sick. You're gonna die if you don't get the vaccine. So people are rushing their fear there, because people, when they're fear, bro, they operate so irrational. That's why when a crime happens, they don't take the person that's all scared and then they go do what's that thing that they do when they try to see if you're lying or not? What's it called?
A lie detector
test. A lie detector test. They don't do it right away because they know that fear, it messes with your rationale. You become irrational when you're scared. So fear, man, they promoted so much fear. You see it on the news every day. People are dying. The numbers are rising. This, that. Brother, I got COVID. I got all strains of COVID. It was a regular cold to me. I went outside. I got some sun. I ate for my Colombians and Spanish people, my sancocho, right? I ate my sancocho. I was taking my vitamins, and I was good, bro. It was a regular cold, just like the one that people are going to get because of the cold weather. Their nose starts running. They get sick. Now it's COVID. It's COVID. Bro, they use the same sickness that you get, and they utilize it as a plan.
As a plan, right?
And then check this out. So this is crazy. So pharmaceuticals companies, they have zero costs associated with creating vaccines. You know why? Because the government pays them. Now check this out. The FDA, the one that regulates drugs and food and all this stuff. So the FDA gets the vaccines from the pharmaceutical companies. They're like, we're going to see if it's good, if it's bad, if it's effective, if it's not. Okay? You know where they get the research to see, like, where the FDA gets their research to determine whether it's good or not?
The
pharmaceutical companies. So how is it that you're trying to see if something is good and bad, and you're using the research that the same company that's giving you the vaccines? Makes no sense. But what happens? People don't question shit, bro.
Correct.
People are so easily, and you know why? Because they work hard. They work 2-3 jobs to pay their bills. They don't know what the hell's going on. They don't have time to sit down to listen to 3.5-hour podcast of a doctor that's telling you the truth. People don't want to do the hard work. People don't want to read books, don't want to read certain things, don't want to find answers. You know what the easy way out is? Oh, COVID. Oh, let me get the vaccine. Let me go and get it. Brother, there's still people that wear masks in their car and they're driving by themselves. That goes to show you, brother, the level of fear that people have and how they've been so indoctrinated in this way of thinking and how it makes people operate. So like I said, if politics was more of the conversation in the household, people would have been aware of the laws that were being passed in other states. If finances were a conversation, people will have money to be able to leave a state that is passing laws that you're not okay with. Because there's a lot of people that lived in California that moved, and they're all the wealthy people. And you go to California now, because my stepdad, he's from California. His family's still there. Brother, California is not the California that we know of 15 years ago. It completely destroyed. Poverty's through the roof. So much going on. Why? Because they adopted all these political ideas that are not doing any good. You see New York. Look at what's happening in New York, bro. Chicago. Look at what's happening in California. So not to get like on the political thing, but if you realize, like, if you ask the average person that does not even, follow politics, they feel what is going on. They feel the crime rate rising. They fear, they're going and grocery shopping and things being more expensive. So even the most, stupid people are starting to realize that the people they've been voting for are not helping in any way. They're only making the shit worse. So
Correct.
That's why people are waking up more to being like, okay, we've been voting the same way for the past 30 years. Because our parents been voting for this for the past 30 years. But our lives are getting worse and worse and worse. And then why do you think Cubans that come from Cuba to the US are Republicans? Is because they lived through communism and socialism. Why do people that come from Venezuela are Trump supporters and the Republicans? Because they come from communism and socialism. So it's the people that came from there that support the Republicans and Trump, rather than the people that were born in this country, that live in this country, that have been voting on the other end, and their lives are not getting any freaking better. So that's the thing. And the finances, if we were all better financially, guess what? It doesn't even matter what the hell's going on in politics, because if you're financially, good and you're stable, it doesn't really matter, because guess what? You're still going to eat. You're still going to have protection. When you have money, you could be in a gated community where you don't have to worry about the crime that's going on outside. So if our governments today, push more of helping other people become financially free, all the problems would be erased. That's why I say that PHP is powerful, because it allows anybody, regardless of their religion, their political ideas, whatever, to come in, develop a skill, make money, be financially free, and you're better off that way than if you continue to be so focused on who's the president, who is not, was this, was that. Bro, we just need to become better financially and make money so we can make our own damn decisions and have a voice. That's my plan. My plan is make my money so I could be the voice and I can have the voice, because the reason why a lot of people don't have a voice is because they're financially dependent on someone else. A lot of my friends, unfortunately, they work at JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo Wealth Management. They think the same way I think, but they would never speak in this way, because they know that Chase will fire them just like this, because they think like that. So
yeah,
I just went on a rant, bro.
No. And even touching on the bank, because you just said Wells Fargo and Chase. Yo, the Federal Reserve isn't even a federally owned thing. That's owned by a family. And people don't know these things, because again, like you said, they don't do their research. A lot of Americans, not even Americans, a lot of people around the world, they don't research. Whatever the news tells them, whatever the newspaper, whatever social media pushes on them is what they believe. I don't know if maybe supporters or you've seen it before, but there's a video of all the news channels saying the exact same fucking thing. While they're telling you, news reporters say the exact same fucking thing, and they're trying to say they don't do the same thing. It blew my mind when I saw that.
A lot of the news, where they get their money?
Where they get their money?
They get their money from pharmaceutical companies. There's only 2 places in the entire world where pharmaceutical companies are essentially able to give money to like news networks and all that, is the US and New Zealand. It's the only 2 places in the entire world where pharmaceutical companies can advertise on TV, on the news and everything like that. So people have to really analyze and break it down where everything. I always tell people, you want to find the truth, follow the money.
Yo, that's funny, because health insurance is free in all these other countries. But America, I don't know if New Zealand, if it's free or not. But if they're pushing it, there's no way it could be free, because then,
bro,
it wouldn't make sense for them to advertise it.
The pharmaceutical industry in America is the most corrupt, but the most profitable, and the one that has the most control. So this is a very big beast that we're battling. And you know why I like Trump so much? Because he was somebody that was going after the pharmaceutical companies. He was saying, how the hell is it that these companies were founded here, they operate here, and the damn medicine is more expensive here than it is in other countries? A lot of people that live in California, in San Diego, you know what they do? Well, they drive down to Mexico, get the medication there, and come back. And if you start analyzing the pills, bro, the same pill right here is like this big. Over there is like this small. The quality is much better over there. For example, when the whole COVID stuff happened, I was traveling back and forth to Colombia. And here, you ever heard of like ivermectin?
No, I've never.
So ivermectin was actually a medication that was actually helping people get through with the whole COVID stuff. When people found that out, bro, the news and everybody just started shitting on ivermectin, talking about it very bad. Joe Rogan was somebody that used it, and they were saying, oh, like ivermectin is like horse dewormer for like horses, and that's the whole thing that was going on, right? So they started burning all this medication. People couldn't get access to it. Bro, I go to Colombia. I walk down the street to the pharmacy. Hey, you guys got ivermectin? Yeah, we got it. How much do you need? Boom, here you go. And bro, I was telling people there, and it was literally helping people get past COVID with just that medication. But here they were talking bad about it. They were so these are the things, man, that and this is why the Hollywood plays also such a big role in everything. Why? Because here we're so driven by entertainment, we're so driven by movies, by news. If you notice, bro, it's so weird how certain movies come out during the same episodes of things that are happening. Like Top Gun, you look at Top Gun when it first came out, what was going on back then, and Top Gun came out, what's going on now? It's promoting this this view that being in the military and going and stuff, it's like a cool thing because recruiting numbers in the military are going down. So they want to make it a cool thing to attract people, right? Hollywood plays a very, very big role in the way that we think. And that's why, like I said early on in my life, I was studying all this stuff, man. I was listening to Tupac, what he would speak, but Tupac would speak a lot in terms of biblical verses. That's why people didn't understand his message. But bro, he got killed because he was exposing. You know what I'm saying? He was exposing. And if you look at all the people within Hollywood that started exposing the whole thing, what do they usually do? They diminish your character.
You get canceled.
You get canceled, right? After that, you get put in jail.
Correct.
And then the last thing is what? You get killed. What do they do to Tupac? They try to ruin his image. That didn't work. They try to put him in jail. That didn't work. What did they do last? They killed him. So these are the things that you got to pay close attention to detail, man. Close attention to detail. And that's why I feel that me and you have this level of intellect, because we like paying attention to detail. And bro, I give it to you, man. For you to think this way at such a young age, and for you to be able to process things like this and be able to voice it to other people, you are making such a big impact, and you're doing so many great things for people out there because you're helping them wake up to what's going on. And it's all knowledge is power, right? And us understanding this and telling people, whether they listen to it, they like it or not, at least we're providing this voice. Because trust me, bro, there's a lot of people that want to speak, that want to come on a podcast and be able to speak this way, but they're unable to. Why? Because they're depending on their job. So
facts. Another thing I wanted to talk about, conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Colleges, universities, there's again owned by the same families I was just talking about with the banking system. Like these colleges that are saying, oh, they're owned by this board or whatever board. No, that's a lie. It's usually the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and I think there's one more family that they own all those universities and stuff like that. Going back to what you talk about, the pharmaceutical companies, a lot of these colleges are very health based, nurses, those type of programs, and they're ran by the same families that have ties with the pharmaceutical companies. Why do you think? Obviously, it's not voiced out like that, but besides being voiced out, why don't you think people want to open their eyes to this knowledge? Because it's Google now, the iPhone, you could look this stuff up, but why don't they want to know?
You know why? Ego gets in the way because they believe something for so long that they don't want to feel like they've been wrong for so long. Because think about it, you're growing up being told this and being fed this, and then you get to a point where if you do the research and find out, man, this has been a lie all along, I feel stupid. People don't want to feel like that. Their ego gets in the way. They're not okay with accepting the fact that what they believe has been wrong. And this goes down to a lot of things: politics, religion, all these things. They don't want to be wrong. A lot of, going back to religion, Christians, Catholics, their ego gets in the way because they believe something their whole entire life that they don't want to go and test another religion or learn about another religion or question whether what they believe is true or not. So for me, I think that's what it is just ego. People have egos, okay? And I always said ego is what? Edging God out. If you have an ego, you're edging God out. Egos is by far the worst thing that you can have because it essentially stops you from having conversations, learning, recreating, developing yourself. So for me, that's what I think it really is people believe something for so long and they don't want to feel like they've been wrong.
Are you scared of the people that are in control, maybe the elites you could call them? Are you scared that they would come after you?
I'm
or try to cancel you or anything like that? Because we're speaking very openly right now.
Man, you know what? I'll be honest with you. My impact is done on the grounds. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to do the social media thing, but for me, whether they cancel me on social media or not, I'm actually in the arena. I'm actually talking to people. I'm actually, when I go and I have meetings with people, me and my wife, we sit in front of people's kitchens and we have these conversations. So I'm doing the actual work. Yeah, having a voice on social media is great because people can listen. They cancel me, whatever. But guess what? I'm still gonna be in people's houses having these conversations. I'm still, because that's why I love what I do too, man. Because I'm able to go inside of people's homes and have these conversations. That you could ask my wife, bro. We have these conversations. We get into politics. There's times where we disagree on things. I've had conversations with family that I recently rekindled with, where the guy, man, went to Syracuse and Ivy League school, and he's indoctrinated to the fullest, and he's believe one thing and I believe another thing, and we're going back and forth. So whether I get canceled or not, guess what? I'm still in people's homes speaking about this. So my impact is gonna happen regardless, whether it's through social media or not.
So you're not worried about getting canceled?
I ain't worried about it. Actually, getting canceled is good because it shows you that you're actually telling the truth. So I want to get canceled, because if I get canceled, I could walk around saying, man, listen, I went on my boy Basil's show. I was speaking these facts and I got canceled. There's a truth to that. They're scared of this type of knowledge and information to be poured out there. So I believe that if we ever get canceled, it's a good thing. It's a great thing because it's proving that what we're saying is true. Because if we weren't canceled, that means that whatever. So there's something to being canceled. There's truth to that. That's why when the pandemic happened and these doctors were getting canceled for social medias, I was like, okay, I gotta pay attention to them. I gotta listen to them. Okay, Joe Rogan, 3.5-hour podcast. Let me listen to the entire thing. What they're publishing. What's going on? And then that's where I found my truth. So being canceled is great because there's truth to that.
Yes, definitely. Even down like to it could be any person, it could be any type of business. Getting canceled, like you said, they must be doing something or saying something correct. Because if it was so incorrect, then they would just look stupid and people would even follow them. Period. I mean, you look at people like Dr. Jordan Peterson. Yo, they might have done a good job with that one because he's not as prominent as he was back then before they canceled him. With Dr. Jordan Peterson, I don't think I know he wants to push a certain message and et cetera, but the way they did it to him, and he's also Canadian, they don't have freedom of speech. The way they did it for him, they did it perfectly. Oh, take your license. So now you can't even talk about psychology now. That's raps. Because if you do,
crazy.
Now it's instant jail time. And again, freedom of speech. So they put him in a scenario where he cannot win, which is wild. But even like you just said, I don't care if I got canceled. I don't even care if I go to jail, or I don't even care if I get martyred, because I know what I'm doing is correct. I want to be remembered as a good man, father, and a husband to all my peers. That's my goal. That's my end goal in life. So why would I be worried about getting canceled? I think that then comes down to your morals, your values. Are you a materialistic person? Do you need to have money? Because if you get canceled, there's a possibility you lose everything, right? Are you a person that's only worried about yourself? Are you a selfish person? Because if you go to jail, you're in jail. No one else is. Everyone still is living their life. The people that you gave that knowledge to, they're still good. They're roaming around the world. And you have to look at things like that. And a lot of people don't have the mindset that we do, to talk about these things. Any, last comments that you have, maybe tips and tricks that you want to tell people, or where they can find you, etc.?
So yeah, you guys could find me again on Instagram, Sahid Abdala 22. I'm getting more into the content stuff. A lot of the content right now that I'm doing is kind of revolved around my business, the products, what we do, the office culture. But I want to get more into speaking and having these type of conversations.
Definitely.
and exposing the things that I know. And my tips, man, is just find what's wrong with you as a person. Start within. Take accountability for yourself. We are lacking that today. People don't want to take accountability for who they are, what they are. Right now, I'm reading Patrick's book, Your Next 5 Moves. And there it speaks about, the best product is you. So if you understand you understand yourself, how you are, how you believe, and have the hard conversations in the mirror that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't look at themselves in the mirror and tell themselves, I don't like you. I don't like the person that you are. I don't like what you believe. You need to get better here. You need to get better there. So for me, I think that everything starts within. You take accountability. You don't blame the world. You don't blame the president. You don't blame your mom. You don't blame your cousin. You blame yourself for whatever it is that's going on. You take accountability. And I say, okay, if this is what I'm struggling with, I'm going to go read a book on how to get better on this. If I lack discipline, go read a book on discipline. If I lack respect, I go read a book about respect. But guess what? That takes hard work, man. It takes hard work. And people don't want to work hard. People don't want to read the books. People don't want to recreate themselves. If you are the same person, Basil, and I'm going to tell you this because we're creating a friendship and we're creating a relationship and we are going to be like this for a long time. If you see Sahid, the same person, 3 months from now that he was today, you need to check me. You need to be like, hey, brother, you kind of the same person you were 3 months ago. You must not be reading or recreating yourself. So for me, recreating yourself is very important, and also be in a circle where you're going to be held accountable for what you do. For example, if I see you, Basil, doing something wrong, I'm going to put you in check because we have a relationship and I want you to be better. And you know that my intentions are that I want you to be better.
Correct.
So for me, is recreate yourself, read the books, look at yourself in the mirror, and then be in a circle where people are going to hold you accountable rather than cater to the stupidity that you believe. Because depressed people want to go hang out with who? Depressed people. Anxious people are going to go hang around who? Anxious people. No. If you're depressed, go hang around someone that doesn't believe in depression so you can get out of that. Oh, if you suffer from anxiety, go be with somebody that had it, that thrived through it. So that's my thing. Just recreate yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and be around circles that are going to make you better and not, condone the behavior that you're having.
Thank you, brother. Steve, do we have any comments?
No super chats, but we do have a ton of comments.
If y'all have any questions for Sahid, you could drop it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, chat. If you have any questions, let us know.
Damn, they were writing paragraphs. The fuck?
Yeah.
Those are long messages. Those aren't like quick things. What were they saying?
Some people were saying.
Oh, Brandon, let's go, Brandon.
Brandon's in the chat. Yeah. Some people were saying that Christianity isn't a religion, but then some people were saying, well, when you look it up, it does say it's a religion. So there was a kind of a back and forth about that.
I heard Christianity started as a cult, but I could be incorrect. That's what I heard.
Hector asked, what book did you read that changed the way you look at finances? I think.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's a great question, actually.
Yes, Sahid said a book, but I don't think it had to do with that. But
there's a couple books that I've read on finances. I think for me, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, I wanted to say it. Let me think. Let me guess.
Really
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It's like the standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that you have to read that book.
That's like if you ever speak to anybody that's gotten into finances or business, they're
read
always
that book.
gonna tell you Rich Dad Poor Dad.
And I'm going down the whole line now of like all his books and stuff like that. What's the book now I'm reading? Damn, I feel bad. I don't know the name. It's like finance. It's about finances though, and it's kind of speaking about the stuff Haas was talking about yesterday and what you've been talking about now. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, that whole series is amazing,
bro. It's a phenomenal. I like the cash flow quadrant because a lot of people think that financial freedom is going from an employee to self-employed, but the true financial freedom is going from that employee, self-employed, to being their business owner and investor. So that really gives people a good overview, and that's the standard.
What do you think you're at right now?
So I'm at the B, business owner. So I mean, having my own business within the insurance industry, obviously I'm a broker, so I have my own insurance industry that I'm helping other agents kind of do the same. So I'm in the B, and obviously I want to build this business enough to be able to be the investor into big things, because I mean I invest in stocks and whatever, but I want to get into the big leagues, sports teams or things of that nature, kind of like what Patrick did, man. Think about it. Patrick built PHP, okay, cashed out $400 million. You know that Patrick's a minority owner of the New York Yankees?
Okay, for real, he is. I think I heard that was earlier
That was
this
recent,
year.
right?
Yeah, that was recent, bro.
Was that earlier this year?
That was earlier this year. So
Okay.
he has sold me the dream on what I am able to do and achieve through this platform.
Mm.
So I think for me, that's having a vision is very important. We speak about this all the time. I'm telling you, bro, we could go for hours.
Yeah.
We could
No,
go for
100%.
hours.
We would probably have to do another interview.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want.
Let's do it. Sahid Abdala, thank you for
My man.
doing this interview with me. Guys, again, go check out all his social media. If you're in Florida and you want to make millions, hit him up. I'm telling you, he's the broker king. Guys, thank you for watching. Till next time, Network King with Basil Artis. I'm out. Appreciate you, brother.
My man. That was great, bro.
Yeah, that was fire.
That was great. A lot of information there.